We are live. Thank you for joining me for my thoughts on Helstrom Season 1, Episode 9, Vessels. The episode is rated CVMA, so this video B, there will be spoilers for everything MCU and adjacent leading up to and including this episode. Nothing from after the episode first aired, premiered, whatever. Yeah, absolutely fucking love this episode, as I have with the first 8. Holy shit! I can hardly wait, and I expect to do the finale very, very soon. Not many days from now at all. Okay, so yes, I really appreciated the. Let's see. So for one thing that I really loved about this episode is the way that it really moves the pieces into place for the finale. By the end of the episode, Damon is still possessed, and there's some struggling, and yeah, um, the knives are yeah the knife pieces, whatever, are separated, and unclear when they're gonna be. I mean, I can imagine Anna is gonna get through to take her, but I I'm not sure if he's gonna immediately turn around. Um, if he'll even get there in time, or if something else will be necessary, and I have no idea what that would even be. The Let's see, yeah, Raum got Gabriella, and let's see, I think that might be about it for the pieces, right? And yeah, Yen, the yeah, things getting you know yeah, he's dealing with this yeah, these sort of after effects, or something. um I think that pretty well covers. So yeah, I feel like it's, there's enough here that resolving all of it is going to be a satisfying finale. Ideally, the finale feels bigger than any other any episode early in the season, and yet not so much that I feel like they couldn't possibly actually deal with all of that. Um, yeah, I don't think they're going to have to rush in the finale. And so far, the pacing, I've been very happy with the pacing of the season so far. I think that covers the yeah. Let's do scene by scene. So, I mean, Anna drops the reference in the episode itself, but that's not going to stop me from pointing out, yeah, this is very Rosemary's Baby, and I'm fucking here for it. Damn, that was a really, really cool, yeah. Um, and yeah, it does, like, to her, look like months. Um, yeah, it's one of those things where it's almost too bad that we, the audience, know that it can't be months, but there's really no way to tell this exact story without us realizing that it can't be months, because there's other stuff that has to be resolved. Um, let's see. But yeah, very nicely done on the withering plants. Um, because, goddamn, I'm gonna miss this show. That is such a great way. Okay, so withering plants. That means they're dying. For those not for the not horticulturally inclined. I know things, but I don't drink though. The flowers are dying, and we know that the baby is evil, and death, and obviously, like in real life, like it's sad when someone dies early, um, but we do have a tendency to think of all death as sad. um, Ultimately, if you when a loved one dies, it hurts like a motherfucker. I know that, but you know you, you can try to find something positive in it, but yeah. um Other than you know death equals evil, there's also the fact that if you water them enough, like withering plants is also a symbol of time passing. Because, like, listen, they could have shown time passing a million different ways. I personally am quite fond of the calendar, the old fashioned paper calendar. Uh, yeah, what are those called again? When flipping through the papers of a calendar to show time passing. But that doesn't imply death. So, really, really nice. Plus, if you are tending to a pregnant woman, yeah, like flowers, like in general, flowers, any room that one of us mere mortals spends a lot of time in. Healthy flowers, good idea. That, yeah. Um, so just phenomenal job on that. Right. Just so I don't forget. Yeah, this episode. They hadn't talked about. I was wondering what someone like falls or jumps off a bridge in the opening sequence. That was the only thing I couldn't quite crack. Like, who is that? Like, I up until this episode, and that's again very nicely done. Plausible deniability, or yeah, whatever. I thought that was someone being killed by Anna, and that explanation was satisfactory to me. Uh, but yeah, the let's see, the yeah, uh, really really nicely done on the so fake Damon, Feynman, like, yeah, you have he says, our baby doesn't have to be evil. Um, and then Feynman says, I love you, which, like, yeah, okay. Listen, Katara, I know you haven't spent that much time with, you know, yeah, talking to Damon um, outside of the context of having possessed Victoria. There's no way that Damon, at this point at least, people are capable of a lot of growth. Maybe in time he could say that to Gabriella, but there's no way he'd be saying it now. And I really appreciate she actually saw through it. Uh, I think I also want to. So in earlier videos, I talked about, at first I wasn't entirely sure about Gabriella's. It just felt like, which it felt a little like, okay, why are they having this kind of a character who's maybe not quite as, like, I get the having someone less cynical to counterbalance, but she seemed like she wasn't quite ready for the big leagues kind of thing. First thing we see her do is bring Damon to a child that absolutely does not need an exorcism. Thinking about it, did the blood purposefully set her up? Because we do know now, the at least one person that was, yeah, I think, yeah, the guy she was directly reporting to worked for the blood and was feeding them information about Damon. Maybe they wanted to see, would he kill this child that obviously does not, is not possessed, for pissing him off or something. I think there is a, yeah, that works as an explanation for me. But yeah, she realizes Feynman is not Damon, and then they pull a move that I also really applaud. Cathara appears visually to Gabriella throughout the entire captivity in this episode, despite the fact that obviously that's not actually, what's the word? Victoria is not physically there, no, much less repossessed. And they did have another actress for Cathara, but that was in part so that the Victoria actress would have someone to play off of, and so, instead of like split screen or something, that would have limited what they, and by this point, like when we think of Cathara, like most of the time we've seen her, it was the Victoria actress. Yeah. And we had to get at least a little bit more of that fantastic, raspy voice she does when she's possessed. Just like, and in this episode, the Damon actor also does some great possession acting. Every single actor on this show who has to act possessed does such a great job. Just like, no notes, top marks, chef's kiss, dog's bollocks. But the, yeah, she says, well, we tried the easy way, now we have to use the hard way. And yeah, they, drug her and keep her in the, oh, right, also the, if you wanted to protect us, you shouldn't have poisoned me. Oh, that's not poison. That's just morning sickness. Strange that we call it morning sickness, because from what I understand, it can happen basically any hour of the day, but I don't know. Patriarchal society, a lot of misogyny, maybe don't want to risk scaring off too many girls and women. But the, yeah. That's also, not the first episode to have vomiting. Does make the first episode of the show to have it twice. I actually thought they would go for 3 for the full hat trick with Yen, but yeah, he stopped short. Thankfully, this time the heaving was dry. Yeah, so the yes, I think let's talk about so yeah. We also need a name for the daemon that is possessed by Bizarre. Bayman. Yeah, he's walking through. I want to say it's called Saint Teresa's. The hospital, which the name of which my tongue refuses to pronounce properly right now. yeah, he's walking through and we see the spine thing. Jesus Christ. And yeah, so that was also a really effective bit of body horror. That's something that we just like we just that's it's so disturbing to witness. But yeah, Anna, wakes up and you know being groggy quickly gives way to being pissed off at Damon for not being there. She feels like he's taking advantage of her kind nature. Um, and yeah, she calls and says, "The thing you waited for is here, but you aren't." And let's see, she leaves the room, and let's see, I forget if this was when it happened, but let's take it here. Yeah, Taker and Julie talking at the diner, I think it is. Great bit of the thing with I gotta take a leak. Got a bottle? How are you gonna piss without with your hands cuffed? And then he reveals that his hands aren't cuffed anymore, and we hear a thud. And yeah, he was able to get away, though she's a little hesitant to believe him. And yeah, I like the line, the exchange about you can't lie to me. I just did. I think does that goes to the yeah. I really love that she says she's gonna get chemo and get the tumor cut out once it's shrunk 3 sizes. Listen, I've had cancer. Close. I've lost people to cancer. I get to make cancer jokes. But I get being offended if someone who hasn't was making them. I don't know that I necessarily personally would be, but I understand it. Anyway, she says something along the lines of, "Everybody else was fighting so hard to stick around. I thought I might too as well." Just yeah, great to see that she's gotten hope, the will to fight. So, let's see. I think the next thing. Um, hmm. I guess I'll just briefly. I'm not sure I have that much else to say about Gabriella and Kithara. That's her name. In this episode, right. I did definitely want to mention. Love the bit about you're not in control anymore because you're not really in Victoria's body anymore. You're in me, and that means you're weaker. It's just really, really nicely done on that. Just yeah. Um, yes. So Damon gets into Victoria's room. Like the show continues to find ways to really fuck with our emotions and show us just the most twisted shit. That yeah. Um, God damn, I'm really, really glad that he was stopped. And I appreciate the episode, like a little while, like, I don't know, I didn't count, but minutes pass without us finding out. After that fight ends, before we find out, yeah, Louise did survive, because I wasn't entirely sure. Like, I thought, like, if she, like, passed out and they didn't get to her in time, maybe she would die or something. Because, like, we've been told she's been weakened by Cathara. But that's such a fucked up, Jesus Christ. Like, they didn't have to have, and Bayman specifically waited for her to be awake, and she, like, smiles, and she tries to like, holds it, like, she like opens her hand. It's very clear she thinks it's Damon to take it, and he just doesn't, and then he chokes. Like, even if she realized before dying that that's not really Damon, that's still, like, such a fucked up, Jesus Christ. Maybe someone writing it had kids and was working out, like, because I mean, there are stories wherein children kill their parents, including mythological ones. So yeah, it's a really old fear. Anxiety, I suppose, is the correct term. And I think, but yeah, Anna gets there in time, and great fight. The show doesn't have an awful lot of physical fighting, but when it's there, it's great. Yeah, and yeah, let's see, she drains some of the life out of him to weaken his mortal coil, which Bazaar can't do anything about. And notes afterwards, those were not his memories. So good bit of, yeah. And the, let's see. Yeah, smashing a lamp on him was clever. And, yeah, they managed to lock him up. God fucking damn it. Remember that? Remember how, God, they're so fucking pathetic. These, like, God damn it. Moving on. Yeah, let's see. I know this is, a piece of information from, like, I don't know, a fucking week ago. Sue me. The fact that Donald Trump couldn't even pretend to still be upset about Charlie Kirk, a man who supported and fought for him for years. Like, he couldn't even give more than a couple of seconds, and then he starts going off about some other thing. Just, yeah. And he apparently also, he wanted to be the one to say, oh, we have the suspect in custody, so they held off on telling people that. God damn it, he makes everything about himself. Anyway, yeah, I think the yes. So the shit. So I already talked about the Charlie Kirk shooting in an earlier video. I don't know how it's slipped my mind to mention. Obviously, my heart goes out to his kids. That really, really sucks for them. I would not wish upon anyone to lose one of their parents. I feel like losing one's parents, that's the kind of thing that you'd only have to experience when you yourself are very old, and they should die peacefully of old age. Now, anyway, yes. So back to the episode. Yes. So Um, I think maybe this is a good time to talk about it. So yeah, Gabriella, um, let's see, she, um, yeah, there's bleeding relating to the baby around the stomach. There's blood coming from the she's struggling, which was also it was that was such a great because like Cathara says more than once, stop struggling. And that's part of how Gabriella realizes you can't make me stop struggling, can you? Um, because she's not, Cathara doesn't usually make demands. She just forces you to do the yeah. Right. Also, the thing about Cathara experiencing yeah, they tortured her son, Bazar. We've met him. Um, with spears, and he always had a temper, so he killed the entire fucking village. Jesus Christ. Um, and the let's see, yeah. So you know, Raum comes in to and he obviously realizes there's something wrong here. She shouldn't be bleeding like this. And Gabriella says, could you take my confession? I have one more sin to confess. Confess. We're done here. Um, and yeah, empties all of the syringes with bye bye juice into him. Yeah, really, really nicely done. And yeah, it's that thing. I think it is accurate that um, at least under certain conditions, you can struggle your way out of the kinds of straps they're using on her, especially if there's so much blood to act as lubricant. Yeah. Um, so let's see. That was also after she, at first, like she opens the door and there's just a bright. Hey, did you just see a real bright light? And she runs towards it, move towards the light. That's what they say. And then is in like this long, uh, is it called a corridor when it's whatever? And then gets out. Like for a little while, I thought, is this Cathara tricking her? That like she's trying to break her will by showing that she can't, you know, yeah. That was also the fact that they start out in a room without a door. Like Jesus. Um, well, start clicking on anything that looks like it might be useful. Um, you might have to do something extremely fucked up. Not new for this show. And yeah, you're gonna have to play a bunch of them before you can really understand what's going on. But yeah, I think does that bring us to the hmm. But yeah, it turns out that she really was escaping, and then I seriously worried they were gonna have the guy run her over by accident. Um, I'm just glad someone was able to get a car to stop and let them on, and they weren't possessed. Let's see. I think does that pretty well bring us to this. So yeah, they yeah, Victoria going up and trying to get to Bazaar and talking about your mother doesn't even love you. You don't know what that means. Like Jesus. Um, if she was rhyming and her flow was better, I'm sure Anna could beatbox for her. This is like the stuff of epic rap battle beef kind of, yeah. I think that brings us to the. But yeah, ultimately, Hastings says you're not getting to. You're just pissing that thing off. And that was also, I seriously worried that she was gonna, that Bayman was gonna, manage to break some of that glass and use telekinesis to like fling it into um, Victoria's eye or something. Let's see. I think, yeah, Gabriella. Let's see. What's the thing about? Right. There's the. I actually. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So yeah. Dr. H brings, Victoria back um, to Damon's so that she can recover. Evidently, they didn't read ahead in the script when they said that. And yeah, Gabriella gets there, and of course, at first thinks that she's seeing Cathara, take the form of Victoria again. Let's see, and the what's the yeah, and that was also a great payoff to that entire thing. And then, yeah, obviously, if Gabriella is really going to have to get an abortion, that really is going to be extremely difficult for her. It's difficult for any woman, but it is, for someone who genuinely believes it's evil, which many Christians do. And from what I recall, including Catholicism, but it's been a while since I looked at the different ones. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've mentioned in earlier videos, I understand the argument for killing baby Hitler. I'm more fond of trying to de-radicalize young Hitler, and um, yeah, that yeah, that is definitely what I would say about this instance. In real life, is what I would say. In this instance, this thing is supernaturally evil. Hitler was evil, but not supernaturally so. It's very important that we do not fall into the trap of, um, yeah, considering that a supernatural thing, because we have to be honest about how capable of evil we human beings can be. Otherwise, you're just going to hyper focus on, well, how do we stop supernatural evil from getting into, I don't know how early an age Hitler is supposed to have been possessed or whatever, but yeah, instead we have to focus on, yeah, de-radicalization. And yeah, the shooting of Charlie Kirk, you know, I don't know for sure right now if it was a political motive, but certainly there is an increase in right-wing political violence in America, and yeah, right now, I haven't yet heard. I haven't heard everything about um, the the shooting, the killing. Um, I right now, if I had to guess, I would say right wing. And listen, if I'm wrong about that, I will say so in an upcoming video. I'll say, okay, I'm surprised, but okay, evidently the killer was left wing. But it is a statistical fact that when there are these politically motivated acts of violence in America, recently it's, you know, by a significant margin, percentage wise, it tends to be conservatives. Like the fact that the target here was conservative, it helps explain why it's getting so much attention. People talk significantly less. Like I hear, you know, uh, thankfully, a lot of my fellow YouTube lefties. I'm not sure. I think every single lefty I've seen make a video talking about the Kirk shooting who's talked about the coverage of it in America, has talked about how there were several Democrats who were killed, and obviously conservative media didn't talk much about it, but there were also other mainstream media outlets that really didn't cover it very much. And right now, or not necessarily right now, but for a while, they were talking constantly about the killing of Charlie Kirk. And I'm not saying they shouldn't talk about Charlie Kirk. I'm saying their silence on the Democrats who were also murdered is deafening. Now, I think, yeah. So I did quite appreciate the multiple shots of in the this episode, shots of film um, of Gabriella, with a knife, like about to plunge it into her pregnant belly. Now, I think that pretty well brings us to. Um, yeah, I quite like the discussion between Taker and Anna about how um, you know the only way is to cut it out. Jesus. Um, and yeah, it can't be Taker. It has to be Anna. You know, um, nobody else can fight about the yeah, the physical aspect of it. They can't um, stand up to, even though it's gonna hurt like hell. She's gonna see all this pain. Um, Killings? Shit, I forget if it's pain or killings or both. Anyway, when she's holding it, and yeah, she sends Taker to the yeah, the Damon residence. Uh, Once that Gabriella is there, um, and the I think that pretty well brings us to the. Oh, right. Yeah. So Yen, um, really, really nicely done on that cut. Reminiscent of like the start of American Psycho. We think what we're seeing is blood, and then we realize, oh, thank God, it was something completely different. Although Yen isn't super happy, maybe he would have preferred blood instead of that particular color red. And the thing about, you're regretting your apology, aren't you? You regret, yes, not the apology, but that's the color it's taking. And the thing about, what was it like? You can tell me if you hate it. I would tell you if I hated it, which doesn't mean he doesn't not like it. Um, and yeah, the there's some kind of pain in his arm where the cuts, the bite marks were, and he drops the um, what's it called, paintbrush. Um, and for a second, I thought that would mean the two of them didn't get to kiss. Which, like, listen, they're such a sweet couple. Um, and so far, like, yeah, there's like representation for LGBTQ plus individuals, but it's like people saying, like Anna says she was with a girl, and we're told, that, yeah, Chris and God damn it, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Yeah, God damn it. Cop BF. Um, yeah, but that was very sweet that they did get to kiss. And good thing for Chris that he gets a little bit of privacy. He says, "I'll go get something to clean this up," because obviously he doesn't want Cop BF to look at, because it was pretty clear that there was something going on with his hand or arm. And it's one of those things where, like, they do give cops some um, training in like, not as much as a nurse or a doctor or something, but um, yeah, I think that pretty well gets us to yeah. So Anna does attempt the. I quite like how the door, both when she enters and when she leaves, is shut with telekinesis instead of, yeah. And she that was also such great fighting with, and like, so much of it is just acting, like she's acting like something is like slowing her down, even as she's struggling. But again, some great wire work as various people are thrown into the wall and stuff. But yeah, um, I quite liked her pointing out, your bullshit is receiving a seasoning of salt, right? Talk about pouring salt in the wound. Um, but yeah, I I wouldn't rule out that he did try to kill himself, jumping off the bridge. Um, like, Bayman says, oh, he was so distraught, um, having his own mother committed and feeling like that was the wrong thing to do, like he was maybe being selfish, which, we've covered in earlier videos. He absolutely wasn't. It was the right thing to do. And the whole thing with his father, yeah, I could see it, uh, yeah. And then she manages to get the knife to the back of the neck and start cutting open. And we're still seeing, the little, I don't know, it kind of looks like fingers trying to claw their way out of the yeah, spine area there. Uh, that looks unbelievably fucking painful. I am officially done complaining about my chiropractic treatment, the yeah, that hurts, but not as much as that looks like. Um, to be clear, I'm not saying that I'm telling the chiropractor, you know, like they know it hurts. Like if it doesn't hurt past a certain threshold, I'm not gonna tell them and make them feel bad. They're doing their job. I am asking them to do it. Anyway, yeah, the and it turns out no, you need the rest of yeah, and Taker lived up to his name, and took it, and he's on his way to Gabriella or possibly Yen. Um, and no wonder Anna isn't picking up right now. She's trying to call Taker. Um, yeah, and the and also the thing about goddamn Taker really like I admire his restraint because like he thinks that Yen is like calling about work, and he's like, listen, this is not a good time to talk shop right now. Can this wait? Like he has the passion of a goddamn saint. Um, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, she manages. There's enough of Damon left. He comes to the surface, and let's see the you know the line about trust, which really shows character growth. Because at the start of the season, that is not an exchange that would have taken place. And yeah, it was really cool that so he like it starts to burn through his clothes, and we see the symbol again, and there's some orange fire, some blue fire, and just yeah, really really cool. And I think does that bring us to the so yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so they're fighting to protect Gabriella. Really, really great. Oh my god. So that's also one of those things where it's like we have some idea of how much that hurt. She threw boiling fucking water in his goddamn face. Jesus. Like, listen, a lot of us at some point in our lives will boil water. There's a number of different reasons why we might. And like even just the steam coming off it, even if we're careful to not get too close to it, it's really fucking hot. Like imagine having oh my god. And so much of it too, like it wasn't just like a drop or something. It was like I don't know, the whole fucking kettle. That's it. And then they're like, shit, where's the other one? Because it's like, yeah, if you've played Left 4 Dead, yeah, you'll want to attack at the same time. That's when you're strongest. Um, yeah, really, really nicely done on that. And yeah, Brown manages to get the knife from Gabriella. Really cool. Yeah, as it flies into his hand out of hers. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Um, I don't. I genuinely don't know how it's all going to like. Yeah. How it's all going to be resolved in a way that doesn't. Yeah. I think that might. And part of it also with Yen it's like specifically so what exact Taker is like what exactly are your symptoms, please lay them out to me in excruciating slow detail because I'm confident there isn't anybody else trying to